Welcome to Evil Live, the live media commentary show that answers the question, could there be a Snyder cut of the Snyder cut coming? Subscribe if you're new to the channel, because today we are reviewing Zack Snyder's Justice League. Of course, I'm being joined, as always, by Chris. How you doing, man?
Good. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah.
4 hours and 2 minutes. Those 2 minutes is where things really came together.
It is really. If they would have cut those 2 minutes,
forget
the
it.
whole thing, you might as well just pack it up. No point. All right, so this is directed by Zack Snyder, screenplay by Chris Terrio. The cinematography was by Fabian Wagner. I was going to do the German V sound with the W, but for some reason I stopped mid-speech doing it. Music by Tom Holkenborg, and this was released on HBO Max in the United States on March 18, 2021. It became the 4th most streamed film on the platform that year. I actually don't know what the first 3 are. I hope they're good.
Yeah, it's so hard to tell with streaming, right? Because they don't give out numbers or anything like that.
Yeah.
But all I could say is comparing it to the one that I saw in the theater, this is so much better. And as you start to learn about the reasons why, it's like it's criminal what was put out there.
Yeah. Not even, especially when there's that note about the WB executives who didn't even like the version that was made by Whedon, but they knew at that point they couldn't do anything else, and so they had to release it. Like, you replace Snyder, who ultimately walks away for horrific reasons, just to have this MCU version of the DC final film come out, and no one likes it. Like, no one. The audience, I mean, it didn't even recoup the amount of money that it would have if it was all just Whedon's film only. It would have made a good amount of money, but it wasn't. It was already production. 90% of it was scrapped so Whedon could have his fingers in the pudding, as it were. And the total irony of this for me is that I still enjoyed the first film. I just thought it was weird. I was like, this doesn't match the tone of anything. This is weird. I'm like, but I like the songs that are in it, so I'm going to go with it. And then when I found out what happened, I was just like all, nerd fight ready. I was just like up in arms and stuff. And this is a testament to fans having a say. And it also opens up a question on whether fans should have a say on what studios do and what they release, and how much of a creator's vision is the fans' insistence.
Right.
I mean, we saw something similar to it with Sonic, when people freaked out over the teaser trailer because of the way Sonic's teeth looked, and then the studio pulled the whole thing, redid all the CGI, and re-released it.
Yes, that's a lot of your fans are probably replacing me in future edits for the same reason. But what's made worse about that was not only was it the studio interference, but because the AT&T merger with Time Warner for like this $85 billion acquisition, the 2 main executives were worried that they weren't going to get their bonus if the reshoots caused it to be released the year after. So that's why they insisted that the version that they had with Whedon went out that year, because the way bonuses were set up, it's a calendar year thing. So, I hate, like when I was a kid, I just enjoyed movies without thinking about the backstory behind it. But as an adult, I find like I need to know, especially like you said, like it was so disjointed compared to Snyder's previous vision. It's hard not to want to understand why. And I listened to some interviews with him, and it's something that I never really thought about. When they do reshoots, oftentimes the things that get cut are the ones that are the least expensive, because the producers have to justify why the big stunts were filmed and why they spent money on all the the CGI. So what they cut are like those little scenes, those intimate scenes where like characters are talking. But like Snyder said, like those are the why of the movie. So if you're just getting the big stunts and the big CGI and you're removing all the story elements, that's what that's why fans did not enjoy it, because it didn't make sense.
I think that's such a poignant point, and I think we are seeing reaction to that. Now, I haven't seen the new MCU property that's in theaters right now, but I heard it's incredible because it's hyper focused on an emotional journey of one of the characters in it. It's sort of a Suicide Squad meetup team movie. but it's doing so well because of the focus on character development and the depression, I think is what the person was going through or something like that. I might be speaking out of my ass, but that's the distillation of what I heard. And
Mm.
if that's true, then I think that's why it's so successful. It's because we as an audience, we love the big summer popcorn movies and the big stunts and all the CGI when it's appropriate, but not for the sake of the point of the story. You know, the little moments, the character interactions, the heart, as it were.
Yeah.
Even if that heart is painful, that's why we go to film. That's why we love stories, is because sometimes we want to feel bad. Sometimes we want to feel great and want to be uplifted. But you can't just give us flashy things. That's gone in 60 seconds or whatever. What's the franchise? The Fast and the Furious franchise.
Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
Maybe it
like,
has heart, but I don't know.
yeah, and like I get why the executives would want to bring in Josh Whedon, because he literally just did something similar with the Avengers, which earned $1.52 billion worldwide. So I so
Jeez.
I get why they're like, oh, we'll just have this guy do it. But then DC becomes just like Marvel.
Yeah.
And like many of my metaphors end up, this is going to be about ice cream flavors. So I like vanilla.
This old chestnut again, am I right?
I like vanilla and I like chocolate. I want them both. I don't want just one. So you can't, in other words, you can't have DC be exactly like Marvel. Like you needed that different tone. And I love that Snyder was going darker with it. So by them, bringing Whedon in to Marvelize it, it really just was so disjointed. So I'm glad I didn't rewatch the cinematic version, and I just stuck with the Snyder cut for this review because it was so good.
Is this your first time seeing the Snyder cut?
I saw it once when it first came out. Yeah, 2021, I think. Yeah.
This is my third time sitting through it all. I mean, it was through a number of workouts on the screen as I'm running, but because it's a long movie, I don't want to run that long. But this was the first time I felt it start to drag for me after the third watch. I remember the first time I watched, I was 100% locked in, loved every second of it. The second time I was like, you know what? I've seen this. It's not as poignant for me. It's not as impactful. And this time I'm just like, maybe I don't actually like all these actors as these characters. And again, it might be because we're at the end of a very long Superman watch series, and I've just been living with some of these actors for a while. I mean, for some of them anyway. And especially now that we're sort of reflecting back on the shut down DCEU, and there's this new thing on the horizon, and it's completely changing everything. And we know we're never going to get Zack Snyder's stuff again. And, all the other films that were released that had anything to do with the Snyderverse or the DCEU really didn't live up to it because the studio executives and filmmakers had completely drastically different visions. And I'm ready to be done with this. Like, I'm done with the series of the DCEU reviewing them. I'm done with the 4-hour film. I would have loved to see the trilogy of Justice League, but after so many years and such a big production of, getting him to finally be able to make his version of this film, and then watching it and seeing the other films just not live up to the same tone and the interconnected universe not really landing. I don't know. I'm kind of done with this. I'm done. Are you sort of burned on the DCEU at this point?
Yes, I think there was a bit of disappointment because the way the movie starts out, right from the jump, it has images as the movie's about to come on. It has an image of the Superman logo, or like a graphic of it, of like a caricature. It has Superman, Wonder Woman, and then there's Green Lantern. And he never shows up in the movie. So right away, I feel like the movie is setting you up for disappointment. Because if you watch the cartoon, it was Green Lantern too. It was also Hawkman and the Wonder Twins and stuff like that. Like, it never really delivered on the promise of recreating that comic, that cartoon, I should say, from Saturday mornings back in the 80s. So already I was a little bit disappointed. I did not like the character, the actor that they chose for Flash.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I just found him very grating, and it ruined the whole darker tone. Like, he was supposed to be the comic relief, and to me, every time he was on screen, I was just like, just shush.
Zip it.
So I think that
Yeah, Ezra Miller is
Cyborg,
rough.
yeah, Cyborg was okay.
Hmm.
I thought he did a good job with what he was given.
Yeah.
I love Wonder Woman. I love the the actress Gal Gadot. I got used to this version of Batman as the movies and the 4 hours went on, and obviously I love Henry Cavill,
Yeah.
but everyone else, I mean Lex Luthor, I still can't get used to him. I did not like him. I did not like the Flash. So anytime any of those characters are involved, it was disappointing for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved like Jeremy Irons. I thought he nailed it.
Yeah,
We had talked about Diane Lane before, and I think she still nails it in this. J.K. Simmons was a waste. We saw 2 scenes.
yeah,
Why? Why? Why even have him there? What was the point? Other than to say, "Hey, look, everyone!" Like that was the only reason. It's like, oh, it's another character, and we got a lot of that in this. Which, if it would have been paid off with 3 films, a trilogy of dealing with Darkseid and the fallout of that, would have been amazing, because then we would have been able to be fully immersed in this DC universe. But and to be fair, we did get that flashback sequence of Darkseid trying to take over Earth, and we saw the Green Lantern there, and we saw the different superheroes and gods like all fighting and stuff. And I really loved that sequence. I thought it was really cool, even though it was just a monologue dump of Gal Gadot for Batman. But I did really, really love that because it felt so grand at that point. We're like seeing Zeus, for fuck's sake. I mean, so cool. So I really love that aspect of it. But that was just a snippet, and maybe this is where we just sort of talk about the film, because fundamentally I think there are problems, and I want to start this again. I enjoyed this for the most part. I've watched it 3 times. I don't know if I loved it the third time, but I enjoyed it the third time because there are great moments in it. But the whole premise is Darkseid has been walking around the galaxy, kicking ass, taking names, gets to this one planet whose gods and heroes and cosmic heroes, the Green Lanterns, like beat them away and almost kill Darkseid. But Darkseid was the one that did the massive imprint of all the like flames, which is, I guess, the anti-life
anti-life
equation,
equation.
which I've
Yeah,
never read that comic, so I don't really understand what that means. But the point is it was presented as if he did that, and it's the only planet that he got his ass beat on, and he wasn't unconscious when he left. So when we're later told that they were searching for this planet, what planet was the anti-life equation on? Where are the mother boxes? We can't remember. You guys were just there. If there's like
yeah,
one planet that beat you up, you'd remember that. You'd remember
yeah,
which planet that was and where in the galaxy, as you're flying away, you're like making a note. Oh, I'm coming back for these motherfuckers.
yeah.
Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
that was a huge plot hole, and the extra 2 minutes on the 4 hours did not explain that.
They needed three
Yeah,
is the problem.
yeah. No, you're 100% right. I did like that scene. It was very cool seeing like the old heroes like Hercules and
Yeah.
Green. That was very cool. I could have watched a whole movie about that, but yeah, that was a huge plot hole that just with all the time in the
Mm.
world, especially having seen the theatrical cut and then having all this time for Justice League, all you need is like one, or 2 sentences of dialogue explaining that, and they
Yeah.
they just didn't bother with it. So that was frustrating. I agree.
Another part that kind of bugged me was that I believe the original intention of the mother boxes was that they were literally somehow Steppenwolf's mother. And so
Oh
that's
wow.
why he was out looking for them first. And why, when Lex Luthor contacted him and he came to Earth the first time, he's trying to redeem himself for some sort of like mistake that was made on behalf of his mother or something being split up or whatever it was. And I thought that would have been such a, you could have leveraged that into such a brilliant storyline, tying together what children go through in the memories to live up to expectations of their parents. It's tied into Superman. We've talked about it. In Batman, we've talked about it. To have the villain experiencing the same thing would have just made this really great rounded out. It doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you're on. You can be an anti-hero like Batman. You can be a superhero like Superman, or you can be a villain like Steppenwolf. You're still ultimately just trying to live up to this expectation or overcome this pain of loss. And I thought it would have been a brilliant sort of through line of everything. but that was scrapped as well. And ultimately, what we're left with is just Steppenwolf somehow pissed off Darkseid in the past. We don't really know why, that I picked up on, and that
Yeah.
he's trying to get himself back in good graces. He's, of course, because of Lex, he stumbles across a mother box, and then he comes down and just slowly starts taking him back with his parademons. And I don't know, that feels a little hollow, you know?
Yeah, I think the key to a good superhero movie is the villain, and the villain has to have the right motivation, and they really didn't explain that. And also the fact that they were scared off of away from Earth because of the Kryptonian. Like if they're from, if like these countless universes and multiverses, like they should know, like the members of Krypton are just normal people. Like they're only like Superman's only special like in this one spot. So have they been like keeping tabs? That's only like a recent development, like the last 20 or 30 years. Like how would they know that oh that Kryptonian here is a big deal and we should not come here right now? Like they didn't explain any of that. Were they like aware of current events? Like that's pretty current, you know?
What's even more frustrating is that they're like, oh, it was the death of Superman which woke the mother boxes to contact. But there was hundreds of thousands of years without Superman.
Exactly.
So why
Exactly.
didn't it call out then?
Exactly.
Like the whole thing doesn't make any sense. And again, I don't need 100% logic from a film. I just want to be entertained and have some sort of like emotional journey. And I had some of that. So maybe it's okay to have some ridiculous non-logic involved, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ultimately, though, Steppenwolf is just trying to collect these mother boxes that have been enshrined in mythological beings, or just like hidden in a government box like the Ark and the Covenant, apparently, like in Indiana Jones universe. Like that's just what the government does. They just put things in boxes and put it on a shelf. Okay, I'll buy it. I loved Revenge. Revenge. I loved. Oh my gosh.
And you talk about like Indiana Jones, the Raiders of the
Raiders
Lost
of the
Ark.
Lost Ark. Wow,
Yeah.
my brain. Hey, Goldman, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so I'm okay with like stories like that, but when Superman dies and wakes up all the mother boxes and they start like freaking out and calling out, why does just um, uh, Steppenwolf come? Why don't they have more people come? And if it's just Steppenwolf and all the parademons, why isn't he personally dealing with all of them from the start? Because he's the one that ultimately collects them all from the start, but it's the parademons that come down and try first, and then they can't do it, and then he comes in and just grabs it. Why not just do that the whole time? Like initially, like I didn't understand that either. Like with the
Yeah.
Amazons, he came in
And
first, but the
yeah.
Aqua people and the human one, that was all the parademons messing up, like grabbing people for some reason.
And the hiding spots of some of these boxes were horrible. Like Cyborg like
Closet?
buries it like
Oh, yeah.
well first he had it in his closet and then he buries it 2 feet down in
Yeah.
his own grave.
Yeah.
You know, like I I did a better job, you know, hiding Easter eggs for my 4-year-old. You know, and I made those very easy for her to find.
Yeah, that so the bad guy story beats part of it I didn't really like. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed seeing this version of Batman again and how he was doing his best to try to get these other metahumans to sort of come together, and everyone was just like not having it at all. Well, specifically Aquaman was just not having it at all. And that scene where he goes up and contacts Aquaman for the first time, I think is just awesome. Great scene.
Yes.
And we get this tease about this discord with the mermen or the Atlanteans, mermen. And so, like, I liked the tease there because it felt like there was some history to explore still. And then, of course, we got the Amazons, which I always love revisiting because badass women. I'm here for you. I love it. I think it's great. And watching them like literally sacrifice themselves for this just to keep this object safe because it's like the end if they capture it. And but still mourning the people that are being lost. We didn't see that with the Atlanteans, and we didn't see that with the humans. The Amazons were the only ones that seemed to have compassion for each other, which is a decidedly human trait. So I don't understand why, like, even with like Ray Fisher's character, his dad, even when he was saying that he was proud of his kid, didn't seem like he was really concerned with or cared for his kid. Even if
Yeah.
he's a father twice over, I just feel like he was so disconnected and obsessed with his life that you can't fix that hole just by leaving a tape in a tape recorder. Like, you need to
Yeah.
talk to them face to face, like have that human moment, and just watching the Amazon hold that broken Amazon after Steppenwolf had already taken the mother box, and then the hordes are all coming down a little too late. Like, that was just a nice little beautiful scene. You didn't have to have that, but having it shows that there is compassion in this universe. And I think that's what's so important. That's what we find with Superman ultimately. How did you think? Because I want to sort of go back to Batman v Superman at the very end. It was a bit of a complaint, if I remember. I know it was for me. I think it was with you as well, where we saw the rocks starting to rise off of his coffin
Yes.
at the very end. But then in this, he's just dead. He's not coming back. The only way he comes back is with the mother box, and that's it. I was just like open his casket and let the sun shine on him. Just because that's what it is, He's like, oh, he
Yeah.
just needs to get a little bit of vitamin D and he's good to go. Like, what the crap? Why are they keeping him in the ground? I liked the Frankensteinian monster fanaticism. Uh, I'm sorry, the Victor Frankenstein fanaticism of Batman in making this done to get this right, because of course they're going to be screwed if you don't. And it's a Hail Mary. They don't know if it's going to work. And they don't even know if the Flash can actually travel the speed of light or close to the speed of light to generate the amount of power needed. And they just have no idea about anything. But they're willing to exhume a corpse and just dip it in some water and, like, fingers crossed, hope for the best. I'm just like, I don't know if I could do that. If I could, like, dig up a body and then just stick it in it's already going to be like decomposing, and then stick it in like some gushy water and just hope. What if it didn't work out? They have a soggy Superman. You're
I didn't
screwed.
think about it that way.
It's just a dead body. What the?
Yeah.
So
I
how
I
did that
did
work for you?
Yeah, so I think you touched on a few good things there. I think some of the positives of the movie, Aquaman, I love this version of Aquaman. I thought going into the Justice League, this was going to be the hardest character to elevate from
Right.
the 80s cartoon, where he was like this, prissy kind of like orange, shirt. I
Right.
don't even know. I don't even know how to describe it, but the fact that they made him this cool badass in this series, that was one of the best things they did with this entire DCU universe. I thought that was great. The Amazonian women, like you said, that scene was great. Show them your fear. We have no fear. I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was epic. So I think those two are great. The Superman storyline, I did think, I mean, my favorite part was when he comes back as a Frankenstein version of
Yeah.
himself, because it gave me like vibes of Brightburn, which we talked about, like
Yes.
a grown up Brightburn. And
Scary.
when he's just like he just like tilts his head and like Cyborg is like starting to like feel him, I was like, oh my god, this is pretty cool. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that fight was so dope because it really put into perspective. Like, Wonder Woman is half of a god. She's a demigod, and she can't stand up to this dude.
oh, the
Like, that's how.
headbutt
Yeah,
where
just
she
that's how
just
powerful Superman is. It's
yeah,
suddenly put into context. Like, oh, that's why they really needed him, because there's literally no way they could have defeated Steppenwolf and Darkseid if it wasn't for Superman. So
yeah.
so seeing him take on the entire Justice League and just wipe the floor with everyone really put into context, like, okay, they need him. He's not just a
Yeah,
team member. He's going to be like the power of the team.
and especially because we've been examining this series from the perspective of Superman,
Yeah.
I thought that whole fight scene was really cool. Like, I try to pretend to be an intellectual and a grown up at times. I play one on TV, but seriously, just seeing Superman fight the Justice League, it just brought back like the kid in me, like, yes, this is awesome. And the part where like Flash is running around and then
Yeah.
Superman like, turns his head, and
Yeah.
I was like, this
It's
is worth the
so
whole
good.
movie. This is
It's
worth the
so
whole
good.
movie right there.
Yeah. I love the heart of Lois Lane and Superman. And when Superman's just about to fry Batman that final time, we were going to have to have some like fried bat. She just stops up. She's like, "God," I can't remember if she said Clark or if she said Kal-El or what. But it was just like, oh, you're the person I love. I know you. And I wanted to talk about this really briefly because it's a theme that is brought up. I'm a big Frankenstein novel fan, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I like all the movies, but they never really get the heart of the character, which is this hyper focused aspect of the novel. He didn't ask to be born. He doesn't even know who he is. He's compiled of different components. But when he was animated, this trajectory story he went on was utter rejection from his creator. And then he like hid in the barn of this French family's house and learned to speak by listening in on them teaching their daughter how to speak. He learned poetry and he learned how to communicate eloquently. But he was so horrifying visually that he was completely shut down by the rest of humanity. I love the aspect that you didn't ask, none of us asked to be born. We had no say in this. We didn't have a say in where we came on this planet, what type of environment we were in. We just had to react to the environment that we find ourselves. And that's exactly what Superman's doing in this. He didn't ask to be brought back. He didn't even, is there even a Superman there to be brought back? Was the sort of genesis bit of this conversation for me when I was watching it this time. And what do you think? Can you be yourself if you died? Is it still you being brought back to life? Or is it some amalgamation of what the mother boxes think you were?
Right. I think it's akin to like being cloned or having a twin. It genetically the same, but it's not you. And I think that could have been a really cool storyline, and I would love to have seen that developed out further, where Superman is looks the same, has the same powers, but just isn't, and maybe Lois would have to work harder to kind of like it's like someone who lost all their memory, and
Right.
you've been married for 30 years and now they are in the coma, they lost their memory, and they have to kind of like fall in love again and try to like recreate that because it's starting from scratch. I think that could have been a really cool concept that was kind of done away as soon as she hugs him. And I get it. You have to serve all these other characters, but man, that would have been a really cool idea. And I didn't think of the Frankenstein aspect, but that's a great point you brought up. That really is, a cool movie by itself. And it just went a little too quick. The fight was quick. The him remembering was too quick. And that the death of Superman deserves its own movie, its own storyline for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. But I did really, really love seeing him in the field. I don't know about what it is about Zack Snyder and fields, fields of wheat or fields of corn, one of the two. But like just sitting in there and touching the fields of corn, that's what he was thinking of when he did that other film series. And just him reconnecting with, oh, this is planet Earth. I am a part of this now. Oh, this is my family. I lived here. Oh, you're the woman that I was going to ask to marry. And oh, you're wearing the ring. Like you can see all these things are firing at once. And when his mom drives up, which by the way, why did she drive up? She lost the house. Was there a phone call involved? Like, hey mom, meet me at the old house. Like, how did she know to show up? But anyway, when she showed up and it was just the three of them, I was just like, oh yes, I love this so much. Like her baby came home. She gets to see her son that she loves so desperately, but also the fucking universe needs him. So yes, he's back. And then Amy Adams, the connection that she and Lois Lane and Ma Kent had developed over that time. I just thought was beautiful too. And so for them all to finally have this moment of healing together, which literally is a moment of healing for Superman to realize who and what he is, and then for him to be like, okay, I'm not going to F this up. I have another chance, and I'm going to go now and fix it. Just to abandon it all because he knows that he came back for a reason and he needs to find out what that reason is. And he loves them and he wants to spend time with them. But there's some bigger fish to fry. And this is what this new version of Superman is going to do. I'm going to kick ass and take names and save everyone's lives because that's what I am. I'm Superman, you know? It was like
Yeah.
a return to form. I loved it.
Yeah, and there's a part where he's on the ship and he's walking down and he's
Yeah.
hearing both his, you know, his born father and then his adopted father, you know, and he's hearing both voices give him kind of similar advice, but it just kind of like re-emphasized the essence of Superman. They were able to distill it down to, you know, love these people as we loved you.
Yeah.
You know, they need you. You're their savior, and it really kind of like Zack Snyder really has a great way of kind of like distilling the important elements of these characters that we've known for, you know, hundreds of years or 100 years.
Yeah.
Some of these comic book characters, and really getting down to the essence. It's yeah, he's really done a good job with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, Goldmoon. I want that Zack Snyder trilogy of the Justice League. I want to see that dark side universe. I want to see that evil Superman. And I want to see them solve that problem. Like how do you solve that problem when you have someone who can beat up demigods? You know, I mean,
did you hear the storyline that was on the because apparently they released or the storyboards for what
no
Justice League
way.
2 and 3? Yeah, so it gets very weird. It basically was weird for Snyder, but it was basically Lex Luthor putting together like an anti-hero team. So he was getting together like all the bad guys that we've seen from Aquaman and from Wonder Woman. Like everyone comes together. But the coolest part to me was apparently Lois Lane had an affair with Bruce Wayne.
What?
After Superman died.
Oh,
and there's a
shit.
yeah, and there's a question. She gets pregnant, and we don't know if it's Superman's or if it's Bruce Wayne's. Yeah. So apparently, do you remember the part? I think it was in Batman vs Superman where Flash comes back in time and says Lois Lane is the key.
Yeah.
So apparently, that was going to be an element to the story where that they only are able to go back in time once. Because like the Earth has to be like aligned. Like in other words, like if you go back, it's like Back to the Future or the Time Machine, H.G. Wells.
Yeah.
If you go back in time, you have to go back to the same place. You can't go back in time and also go to Chicago. You know, like you have to go back in time to the same place that you started. So the idea is that the planet is moving around the sun. So if you have to go back in time to the same place as the planet, it rotates. So once a year, at the exact moment, you could go back in time. So that was the idea, that Flash could go back in time only briefly, and he could only have like 15 seconds to tell Bruce Wayne something. What does he tell him to change history from getting into that apocalyptic future? And he tells him Lois Lane is the key. And the reason is because she was pregnant with either Bruce Wayne or Superman's baby.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. I would love to have seen it.
Wow, that would have been interesting. I always hated the idea that your friend would hook up with your spouse even after your death. Like,
Yeah.
I'm such a, I guess I have such a low sense of self that hurts even the thought of it. Like, oh, you can't even like mourn me. Like, I'm such a piece of shit. Why were you with me in the first place? You're gonna go hook up with this douchebag, even if he was a friend. But realistically, if you're dealing, and we've seen there's been a lot of films like this, and so I get it. If you're mourning someone, you're both mourning the same person, and they're gone. Given enough time and enough connection, why not find some comfort in each other's arms? You don't know that he's going to be coming back. He's been gone for however long. Like, as far as you understand, you both have this intimate connection together in the loss of this other thing that tied you together before, or tied your your knowledge of each other before. Um, I could totally see that build into something bigger, even though it kind of bothers me. Um,
It does. It bugs me too. But I mean, it is Bruce Wayne. It's tough
yeah,
to
I
turn.
mean,
It's tough to turn down. I
I would
guess.
fall in love with him. Come sit at my round table I just built. Oh, I lay on it. Yeah, I mean, fuck. How could you not? It's Batman. Um, yeah, and they tease a lot of people like Martian Manhunter and stuff. The Injustice League, yeah, that would have been interesting.
Oh yeah, the
I
Injustice.
would have liked to see more, is all I guess. Even if it all didn't connect up perfectly and stuff. That last little clip we got of that Dark Side universe and the little snippets we got in Batman v Superman and in this, I dug it a lot. And I just like
Yeah,
seeing a bad Superman, you know?
absolutely. And like Snyder has his flaws. I think we mentioned a couple with the stories, but I'm a big believer. I want to see the creator finish his vision.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with George Lucas. Like I know like a
Yeah.
lot of people have issues with the prequels, but he had 9 movies in mind. I wanted to see his vision for episode 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. And I agree. I would have loved to see. I'll stop saying it now, but yeah, it'll never happen though. We know that that is off the table. No matter what, it will never ever happen. So we just
Yeah.
have to accept it and judge it based on we got this wonderful moment of the Snyderverse coming back together. And this whole movement, again, it was a big deal when it was happening. Do you think they'll ever release the air cut of Suicide Squad? Because apparently that had some same, sort of fingers in the pie that messed with it.
Yeah, I don't know if they will. I think this had a special set of circumstances. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So this had a special set of circumstances where, unfortunately, Zack Snyder lost his daughter
Mm.
Autumn Snyder during the making of this. So he stepped away. The studio was only so happy because they were giving him a hard time as it was. They wanted to bring Whedon in. I think that story resonated with a lot of people, and I think the reason that the Snyder cut got made is there was this groundswell of popular opinion that really were pushing for this. And every time they used the hashtag, there was a lot of donations made to the AFSP, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And I think that helped. It was that movement combined with, Snyder's, story and just his vision of like pushing it. I don't see that happening with Suicide Squad or another
Right.
movie. It was just like a special thing. And I think it's kind of beautiful, and it's hard not to watch this movie and think about that because
Yeah.
there was, I think it was over $1.5 million dollars raised just by people wanting to see the Snyder Cut and
Wow.
donating and on behalf of Autumn. And if it helps just one person, I think that would be a wonderful legacy to her life, which mattered.
Yeah.
Sadly, I lost someone recently to that, and it's hard not to watch this movie. There's one part where the Batmobile drives past a banner
Mm-hmm.
for the AFSP, and it just I know sadly you unfortunately had to go through that with your friend, and it's just a horrible thing because it's worse than any other type of death because it seems preventable, but it's not. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's it's something like really I think that was special to this movie, and I think it's a beautiful tribute to Autumn that so much money was raised and hopefully multiple lives will be saved because of it.
Yeah, that's great. And that's a great way of seeing, contextualizing the outcome of this. Awareness is an incredibly important aspect of, especially when it comes to depression, just conceptually. We sort of have lived in this culture of suck it up, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps, don't be a baby, walk it off, and acknowledging that and shining a light on, even if it's just a banner in a film, and understanding the story behind it, acknowledging that it's it's not a choice. It's not you feel to your core that life would be better without you. That's a harsh thing to get to. a harsh reality that people live with and you struggle with. And so having light shining on that, I think, is of immense value to let people know that, look, you're not the only one that feels this way. And it's not your fault. And it's not a quick fix. It's something that if you need help, like there are people there willing to help you at no cost to you.
Mm.
Hopefully, you have a support group internally with your family and friends, but sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes there's too much shame involved. And there are anonymous places that you can go. So, yeah, I mean, if anyone's struggling, for fuck's sake, you know, do it for yourself, do it for your loved ones. Like, when that monster has you, it sucks. It's horrible and it grips you tight, but you're not alone. You don't have to fight it alone, you know, and it's not you. It's not you. And I think understanding that is really important. So,
Yeah. So it was hard not to watch all the scenes of Cyborg and his father and not think that there was some allegory or connection to Zack Snyder. You
oh
know,
shit.
because he was working so hard at the
Oh
time.
shit. I didn't pick up on that at all. I'm an
I,
idiot.
I could be I could be wrong, but that watching it this time, that was what was constantly in my head. And I think I struggle with this. I think any parent struggles with this, how to balance, work and family.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that had something to do with it, but I thought that was, yeah, that's something that just jumped off the screen to me.
That does really recontextualize this film for me. Just that idea. And it seems so blatantly obvious when you say it. Because Zach has been saying over and over and over again that Ray Fisher's character is the heart of this film and the reason why it was so important to be finished. And yeah, yeah, I totally see that parable. That's devastating. Oh man, that is devastating, and it makes that ending when Cyborg does finally come around and understand so much more powerful. You know, he's giving a character an opportunity to do what his daughter never could. Oh, damn, that is painful. Oh, I
Yeah.
never considered that. Damn it. All right, so let's talk about favorite and least favorite moments of this. We already talked about some of our, some sort of negative or story issues. But what's your favorite moment of this film?
Yeah, we touched on it already. The fight with Superman, just the kid in me seeing that Saturday morning cartoon of all the Justice League together and Superman having to battle them. I thought that was absolutely epic. I will say I did not like the character of Flash, but just the actor that they
Yeah,
chose. But that scene where he saves the girl from the car crash, just the way it was shot,
yeah,
the touches the glass and the glass shatters, and even like his shoes rip off. Like I thought that was visually excellently done. I know they also have a character Quicksilver in Marvel,
yeah,
so they may not have been the first to do it, but I thought it was shot beautifully. And what an interesting idea where that character is so isolated because he's literally moving so fast that no one else could see him. I thought that was a really cool take on that character. So
yeah.
even though I didn't like the actor they chose, I like that story idea where he's almost on the spectrum and kind of internalized in a way where he can't relate to other characters because he's moving at a different speed than them.
Yeah, yeah, literally and figuratively. I mean, the entire character is wrapped up in trying to get his father out of prison for the wrongful imprisonment of the death of his mother. And that would isolate you from everyone because the only thing you're focused on is trying to get enough money to get a lawyer. So you got all these odd jobs. Your whole life is on hold. So you have zero connection with anyone. And coupled with that, this insane brilliance and this ability to do what he can do. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a very, very interesting character concept. I've never connected with that character, and I certainly didn't connect with Ezra Miller, but I liked the ideas around that, you know?
Mm.
I think that's really, really interesting. Yeah, for me, it was when Superman came back in his black outfit and he was fighting Steppenwolf, and Cyborg was about to get cut in half from behind. and Superman just shows up and it just like bounces off of him, and he just gives this look like, not what I expected. I expected more. And I'm just like, yeah, he's back, he's back. I was so excited. Just watching him beat the shit. And then they cut his damn head thing, horn with his eyes.
Yeah.
I love
That's
this
a good,
so much.
that is a good call. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so
This
let's.
brings out the kid in you. This really did.
It really,
you know?
yeah. Especially, I mean, you know, there's moments in a lot of these Superman films that we've talked about, all of them thus far, that do very much bring us back to this time of being a hopeful child, you know, a hope-filled child. Like the world is really good and we just have a lot of bad actors in it, but we can be that agent of change, and we can do something really grand in our lives. Superman was that hope, and to see him come back in this version, like the whole film is just this absence, this vacuum of Superman. We're talking about it literally. We have monuments about it, destroyed monuments about it. And Bruce Wayne's whole motivation is to somehow get together a team to represent what Superman could do. You know, I mean, he can't do this alone, and he realized he totally effed up, and he's trying to fix it as best as he can. And then they do this Hail Mary of bringing him back, and it worked. Like, it is the Superman that we've always wanted to see on screen, that we got a little in Man of Steel, we got a little bit in Batman v Superman, the extended cut, the Ultimate Edition, I guess they called it. And then we get to see it fully formed here. That Superman that we saw at like the very beginning of Superman Returns and the original Donner Superman. I love this damn character. I don't know why, but yeah, every time I see him be him, like fully 100% Superman, I'm a kid again, and I'm so excited.
You brought up a great point. You said the word monument. I love that line in this. To see my monument, look all around you. I thought that was so cool, and it's you know, it resonates with everyone's life, and sadly the people that are no longer with us. Like, to see their impact, to see if they mattered. You don't have to look for their body or look to, you know, their, you know, pictures. You look at everyone around that they touched, and I just think that is a really cool tribute to the character of Superman and just life in general. Like,
Nice.
That's what matters, how it impacts everyone else around them.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what was the most egregious thing for
To
you?
me, yeah, there are some, but I think just overall the disappointment of the failed promises, seeing that futuristic, apocalyptic dystopia, and how cool that would be to see it unrealized. You know, the whole idea of Flash coming back and telling him Lois is the key, and then not being able to pay that off because Justice League 2 and 3, which were all planned out, you know, just not coming to pass. The disappointment of this being Henry Cavill, right? His last appearance as Superman. I love this character. I love his portrayal of it. And for it to end like this, just wanting more. So I think it's maybe a cop-out answer, but just a disappointment of failed promises that this, you know, extended universe set up.
Yeah. I think that says a lot about
Is that
this.
cheating?
No, I
Is
think
that a
that says a
cheating
lot
answer?
about the film and the vision that Zack Snyder had, that the thing that bothers you the most is that we can't see it finished. You know? Not that,
Yeah.
because we did talk about some things in it that were sort of like, that's weird. That doesn't really make any sense. But that is all swept under the rug because the overarching story is so good, and the storytelling techniques are so good, and the emotional core is so good that we want more. Like, give me all the error-filled more that you can give me. I don't care. Just give me more. Like, that says a lot about it, because I tell you what, there hasn't been a Star Wars film in a really long time, and I'm okay with that. I don't want more. And now, you know, with this, I'm like, I really want more. We'll never see it and stuff, but hopefully, fingers crossed, the new Superman film is going to do it. Please be good. Please don't be a stinker. Please don't be a stinker. Oh, I want it to be good so bad. Okay, so yeah, my least favorite had to be the whole Darkseid forgetting where Earth was. I thought it was so egregious to me. just if someone whips my ass, I'm gonna remember. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
forget about it and be like, oh, where did that place go? You have like spaceship logs, right? Like, check the log. Like, there has to be something tracking where you just were, and then where
yeah.
did you go to? Can't you just find out the last trajectory that you went from? Like, there
Ear-
should be so many easy ways of doing this.
Earth has not moved. It's still the same place. It's good.
Exactly.
It's not
We
going
haven't
anywhere.
gone anywhere. Yeah. Oh man. What about so? I mean, hands down favorite character. We've now finished our Superman watch through of all the films of Superman, from the very first Donner film to the very final Snyder film.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite Superman now?
Henry Cavill, hands down. And I, I really feel bad saying that because Christopher Reeve did such a
He
great
did.
job.
He did.
But Henry Cavill just made it feel like he was from another planet. He certainly looks like he's a different species than myself. So right away, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not. I don't
He's an
share
alien.
any genetic. Yeah, I don't share any genetics with that guy. So, but he like Christopher Reeve had the Clark Kent part down perfectly,
Yeah.
and did a good job for Superman for the time. But Henry Cavill, to me, portrayed Superman as I picture him jumping off the comic book pages. And it's really disappointing that we didn't get to see more of him. But yes, so for me, that was the best. And the best movie was Man of Steel.
Good follow up. Yeah, I mean, I have to agree 100%. I think, gosh, because I could watch Man of Steel anytime and have a great time, especially the first half of it. The end fight, I do feel like drags a little bit too long in that film, but the first half of that film is just like, I'll put it on and I will never regret it, and I won't get up. I'll just sit and watch. It's so good. But then the last fight in this one, where we get to see the fully formed Superman in his black outfit, oh god, this is so good. And we never got anything semblance close to this in the other Superman films, so I'm gonna say Cavill is 100% my favorite Superman of all time so far. I'm hoping the other guy's good. And I gotta say this film for Superman, because we got the evil Superman in a couple different ways,
Mm.
the fighting the Justice League and the Flash of the Dark Side future, and we got the super good Superman. And so I have to double down with that.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of different aspects of it. Yeah, that's true.
Is there anything else about this I mean, we could go for 4 hours, but we don't really need to. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover with this film in this, or maybe this whole series of reviews that we've done?
Yeah, no, I think we hit on everything. I think they, as far as like the Justice League aspect, I think that maybe their best portrayal of a character, and I think I mentioned it was Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
How you make a character that swims in the ocean, and is like, every time as a kid, I would joke with my brother, like every time there's a fight, this guy goes jumping, jumps in a lake. Like he's not a big help. So the fact that they made him really badass with the eyes and just his whole Jason Momoa's whole, performance was amazing. Wonder Woman. So, getting some of the Justice League together, I thought was a great success of the movie. But yeah, no, I think we hit on everything. It's been a really fun, look at Superman, and it's high expectations for this next guy coming in.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
a lot to live up to. I mean, regardless
Yeah.
of who your favorite Superman is, this is a big suit to fill. I mean,
I kind of like that. I don't know who he is as an actor. Like, don't
Yeah.
you? Like, I like that idea. Same like Henry Cavill. I didn't know coming into the first Superman, because then I don't picture him as anyone else but this guy. Like even Jason Momoa, I did picture him from Game of Thrones, you
Right.
know, and he overcame that. But this next actor for this upcoming Superman movie, which is only a few weeks away, I don't know anything about him, which is exciting because then I could kind of just really buy in. But man, I don't know how he's going to top Cavill. I really don't.
It's an uphill battle. That is for sure. It is 100% uphill. Gold Moon says she'd say Cavill too. She loves Tom Daly as the voice of Superman in the animated tunes. Yeah, I thought the animated
cool.
stuff was great. Especially the animated films of Justice League and stuff. I think those are the best comic book animated films of all time is all the DC ones. They, even though the animation isn't like the most amazing in 3D or anything, it's great. Like, and DC has the best storytelling. I think it's just so good.
Is that the one with Mark Hamill as Joker?
Yeah, well, he's part of it. Yeah, he did a run
Part
of
of
it.
it. That's
So,
cool. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, they have the animated cartoon series, and then they had the animated films that they put out on a almost seemingly a regular basis, but it's just sporadically. But they're always good. It's just good storytelling, good fun. I mean, really, like, also funny. Flash especially is really funny in the films. So I don't know. I would say check them out if you haven't seen them before, and it's definitely a nice way to relive the modern hero myths that DC Comics really imposes in their storytelling, which I really appreciate that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Justice League: The New Frontier is a must watch too, so I'm gonna have to go check that out now.
Thanks, Cavill.
All right. Well, Chris, always a pleasure, and I hope that we can review the new film when it comes out in, I think, June or July.
Yeah, I'd love to. I definitely. I have such a better understanding of the character now because of this series, so I appreciate you. This.
It's been a lot of fun for me as well, and I'm really, really looking forward to. If it's good, awesome, we'll gush. If it's bad, we're gonna be shitting on it. I'm gonna give you honesty. We're not for sensationalism, but just because now we have a history, and we have to contextualize it within that history of all the other Superman films together. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. And we hope that you, the audience, will join us in that exploration. So let us know what you thought of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Did it live up to expectation and hype? Did you still think the first Justice League was fine for what it was? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for tuning in. As always, remember that evil spelled backwards is live. So get out there and be evil.
Maybe when your lieutenant has his head decapitated, you don't have to step on his face and rub it in. Not that kind of evil.
Adding insult to injury.
Yeah, he's got a few seconds to live. Let him live. Don't smush his face. The more you know.